Hey guys, that's right. Dee here is back with a brand new episode of Table Cheese with Anton Sixxx and myself. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow. And guess what? Enjoy the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 38 of the Table Cheese podcast. I'm your host for this week, Anton Sixxx. Joining me, as always, we have Dee of FTO Nerd Talk.
We are finally going on with this. We are in motion, man. This is 2 weeks in a row. Let's do this.
Yeah, and we got some pretty big stories to talk about this week. So, for starters, we have official confirmation from Capcom that we're getting more Resident Evil. And I know that it's kind of expected, especially since Resident Evil is their best-selling franchise overall. Like, Monster Hunter technically has sold more units on individual titles, but there are fewer Monster Hunter titles than there are Resident Evil titles, and Resident Evil is just a surefire way. Like, I think Resident Evil VR released this year and is nominated for a Game Award, so it's...
Right.
And Resident Evil 4 Remake is nominated for overall Game of the Year. So
I was getting there. That's what I was about to say. Yeah, Resident Evil 2 come out about 2019. You had The Village come out in 2021. You had what was the one that came out last year? Biohazard Cloud came out last year in December. So Resident Evil's kind of been on fire in like the past 3 years.
I'm not sure exactly what Biohazard Cloud is, because Biohazard is a Japanese name for the series. And the first time...
Final Fantasy 7. I mean, like Resident Evil 7. My goodness, my head's been all over the place. Resident Evil 7, Biohazard Cloud.
Because that was the subtitle. They kind of did the Yakuza Like a Dragon thing, where at the 7th entry, they switched the subtitle for the main title. So in Japan, it was Biohazard 7... Resident Evil. Here it was Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
Okay. Because I see there's also Resident Evil 3 Cloud also. Is that something different?
Well, that's just those games, because those games actually got ported to iOS this year. If you have like iPhone 15 Pro or better, they have native ray tracing supported versions on mobile phones this year. So Resident Evil, that's one thing. They were originally
on the Nintendo Switch, right?
The cloud versions are on the Switch, yeah.
Right. Gotcha.
But on iOS, they're native.
Okay.
So you're going to probably have a better experience overall playing a game native versus streaming, but, you know, that's just kind of a preference thing.
So, like, what's Resident Evil? Like, getting more games? Like, is that a win? Or is that just like,
Well, I mean, I think it's a win for everybody involved, because, like, horror game fans have been getting a lot of releases. They got, earlier this year, they got Resident Evil 4 Remake. They got the Dead Space 1 Remake. Late last year, there was Callisto Protocol. And then there's Alan Wake now. That's...
Right.
So...
The day before... Dredge, Sons of the Forest, The Invisible, Stray Soul. There's a lot of horror games that came out this year.
Yeah, so I think with Resident Evil being one of the biggest names, it makes sense doing more remakes, because I know a lot of people wanted Code Veronica to be remade in the style of the modern remakes. They haven't remade Resident Evil 1 in the modern style yet. And then I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I really liked Resident Evil 5. So getting a Resident Evil 5 remake in this style, that's something like I'd really be interested in, as like not the biggest fan of the series.
Okay.
Like Resident Evil 5 is a game that I'll just play for fun, because it's really like an arcadey shooter. Like, I like the structure of the game, the way it's broken up into stages and then having co-op. I remember on PS3, that was one of the few games that I was able to play through the entirety of the game with other people. So
you think that's gonna prompt like a new like what it was the series this year, wasn't it? Was the beginning of this year? Shit, never mind. All right, yeah, all right. No, like let's see more Resident Evil. Like I want to see zombies come back. We were expecting a vampire surge coming up, but zombies, I'll take that.
Well, we're
What's
gonna
that?
be getting a little bit of both because like this season of Diablo is entirely vampire themed, and so
That's right. You've been playing it, haven't you?
yeah, I got it on sale. So there was a trial available on Steam that would let you play up to level 20. And so I downloaded it on my Steam Deck and played just like a bunch of Diablo because it's such a great like pick up and play kind of game.
Right.
So I played a bunch, got to level 20 on Steam, and then it was on sale on PlayStation. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to definitely play it on PlayStation. So I got it on sale on PlayStation and made it to, I think, level 35 was the last time
Wow.
I played. But yeah, it's
Haven't hit
been.
that. Haven't hit that amazing 99 yet, huh?
Oh no, definitely. And I think it caps out at 50 and then you go into like your Paragon levels and
Right. I've heard
the
about that.
interesting thing about this one is instead of the areas having like set ranges of levels, everything scales to your level.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah,
Old
I
school gaming.
finished all of Act 1 and then I finished like Act 2 had two different parts and like so I did those two parts and then it's going back into like one final stretch, I guess resolving everything left in Act 2 and then I'll be on to Act 3.
If we can talk about RPG just for 1 second, you've also played the entirety of Final Fantasy 16. Like, did you find any cool like Easter eggs, levels where you can just level up or cap up really fast?
Like as far
Like
as
on
level
Diablo
work,
3 or Final Fantasy, like on any of those games. Do you find like any cool like little hidden area where you can fight some bad guys and like really cap yourself up?
well, Diablo has this game. The difference between this game and previous games is instead of the overworld being procedurally generated like it was before, now it's a bespoke open world map. So you can't do a single mission without running into a couple dungeons. And so at any point in Diablo, if you want to level up, if you want to just go in and there and grind really, that you have the opportunity to do that.
Seems like all the problems that we talked about with the last Diablo game, they really fixed it with this new one.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
this Diablo is like all the lessons that they've learned throughout the series, and then like the level of budget that they were afforded for it. Like I said it when I played the beta, and like it still holds true that it is just super refined. Like the graphics, I'd say is
Polish.
probably like because it's like an isometric action RPG, but just the level of detail, like the footsteps you leave in the mud, like the level
So I
of
know
craftsmanship in like the stones in the dungeons, like the detail is ridiculous for the kind of game that it is.
like you're sold. All right. I mean, you played it twice and you got both characters over level 20, so you're definitely sold. Right on, man.
Well, no, I was able to actually transfer my character over because since it's BattleNet, it has crossplay and cross progression, and my BattleNet account's linked with my Steam account and my PlayStation account. So I just,
Picked up where you left off then.
yeah,
Right
it was
on.
like the trial only let me play to level 20, and then I picked up at that level 20 when I picked up my controller on PlayStation.
What's the level? What class were they?
Oh, I'm a barbarian right now.
Wow. All right.
I'm out here
Just ha-
spinning to win.
just hacking and slashing. I feel it.
Plus, like, I get to equip the most amount of weapons out of any class. So I just have like a giant axe, giant mace. I have a hatchet in one hand, a sword in one hand. I just
Is the customizable weapons? Is it similar to 3 or is it a lot different?
the thing that I like about this one, and I'm not sure how in depth they went with it on 3, just because I wasn't engaged with it like through the later years. I think the last time I really seriously played Diablo 3 was 2014,
Okay.
but the transmog system in this one is great. It's like any weapon you break down just goes into your uh, I want to call it a glamour dresser, but that's what it is in Final Fantasy 14, into your wardrobe. And so any armor piece, any weapon that you get, even if it's cool and you want to hold on to that look of that weapon, you can apply it to any weapon once you. So if you get a better sword or whatever, but you like the look of your old sword, all you
You
have
can
to
just
do.
use that for the other ones. Okay. That's really cool.
Yeah, and so like my character, and then like the armor pieces, you get to apply different dyes to them, and so you can like do a different color scheme. It's really like the character creator itself isn't that in depth, but the gear system is really tailored towards customizing your character. And if you find any cool weapons or armor that you really like the look of, and then there are essentially armor sets. So
Okay.
they're like multiple pieces that you can combine and that like have an aesthetic running throughout it. So
I mean, it sounds like a good time. Like it sounds like I do need to get on this game because I know it's gonna be a little while before it comes to the Switch. And oddly enough, my kids are getting to a point where they are like controlling themselves a little bit more that they can possibly get themselves a console. So we may see a console sometime in our future. I'm not sure when, but we're getting to that point. Like that, we're gonna be a heavy duty console in the family.
well, the PS5. I'll always recommend it.
Never stop. I like it. There's gonna be a new one dropping sometime soon. I can just feel it in my bones.
Well, the Slim came out last month.
I mean, like a new number,
Oh, a 6? No,
or whichever from whichever company gonna be coming out soon. Yeah.
I I think 2025 is the earliest we're going to be seeing like an actual next gen.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we'll probably get a Switch 2 either next year or early 2025. But as far as like we might get a PS5 Pro, because that's something that's kind of been rumored for the last few years at this point. But the thing we knew we were getting first was the PS5 Slim with the detachable disc drive, which is now officially out and available. So
Right.
right now rumors are pretty quiet, but I see the next thing we get from PlayStation, and that's like either late 2024 or early 2025, will be a PS5 Pro, and then maybe a couple years after that we'll get a PlayStation 6. But I don't think like the Switch has had what, an 8-year life cycle, so
Yeah.
the PS5's only been out for 3, and we just got the Slim, and there's still room for a Pro. So
See what happens from your lips.
all right. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you about is this year I've been playing a lot of the big AAA games that have been coming out, and so like you mentioned, Final Fantasy 16. I've been playing Diablo 3.
Right.
Played a lot of Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. So I realized, looking at the indie game of the year category, that there weren't a lot of games. Well, I hadn't played any of them. And so, even though like previous years, there were years where I played almost everything that was in indie game of the year, this year it was just so packed with big blockbuster AAA titles, like sequels to like
That you wanted to get your hands on, yeah.
right, like even Street Fighter 6,
Yeah.
like that I was able to play some of. I
You
didn't
talked about
even
that one for 2 weeks, yeah. Like you even like you got your wife involved as well. So yeah, you really got into Street Fighter.
right. So I looked at the indie game and I just didn't really have a good answer or a good vote for anything in any of those categories related to it. And one game that I saw come up in multiple categories, like games for impact, indie game of the year, I want to say is best debut indie, was Venba. And I looked at the key art and like it interested me, and so I put it kind of on my watch list. But then I heard Blessing Adeoye Jr. say that if you're a first generation American, you need to play Venba,
Because
and
he is himself a first generation American, right?
right, and so am I. So when I played this game, I downloaded it. I was just like, I need to play it, and then it was on sale. So the regular price is $15. It was on sale for 11 as part of like PlayStation's Black Friday deals, and so I got it with essentially just the points that I had through PlayStation Stars. I was able to get like two $10 gift cards, and so
Okay.
I downloaded Venba, and honestly, it shows why representation matters in media. Playing Venba gave me a new goal as far as like working in the industry. I want to get Trinidadians into a game because I told this story on Cheesy Controller yesterday. I searched on Wikipedia for video games with references to Trinidad essentially, and only two results came up, and they were both
Oof.
cricket games.
Ooh.
As far as, and one of them was on the PlayStation 1. I want to say one was on the Dreamcast.
Oh, so they're fairly ancient too. They got some age attached to them.
Right.
All right.
And I was like, actually, I can prove Wikipedia is wrong because I actually have the FIFA 2006 World Cup video game, which features Trinidad as a playable team. So, and that was on the GameCube. So,
Word.
but yeah, that's one of my goals. As
I
far
like that goal. That's a good goal to have.
yeah,
For
because
those you don't know, the Vinba game has a synopsis. This is what I got on Wikipedia currently. I could have gone somewhere else, but this is what I found first. Vinba is a narrative cooking video game developed and published by Visai Games.
Versailles.
Visai Games. The game was released on the 31st of July of this year for Nintendo, PlayStation, Windows, Xbox One, and Xbox Series XS. Vinba begins in 1988 and follows an immigrant couple settling down in Canada and adjusting to their day-to-day lives in the new environment. Player controls a titular character, Vinba, an Indian woman who moves with her husband to Toronto, where they eventually have a son. The game draws heavily from Tamil culture and South Indian cuisine. So it's a cooking narrative like Mama, but it looks a lot more intuitive than that. A lot more intuitive.
Well, yeah, it actually is because so I played the beginning of the game and then like I was like, there's something like really special here. I'm gonna wait until I can play it with Angelina because I was playing Diablo one night and I was like I had gotten to a good stopping point in Diablo and I got off and I was like, let me just check out Venba, and I played the first level and I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna wait to be able to play this with Angelina. And so yesterday, Angelina and I sat down and played through the entire game, but it really was emotional for me seeing that kind of representation as a young American son of two people who immigrated from another country, and like Venba is a teacher. My mom was a teacher. Like, there are a lot of parallels that I saw in that game to, like, my own life and my own experience. And that's not something I almost ever get to see in media. And it felt especially special being able to experience it as a video game.
I know that feeling. I really do. Like especially when you see it like in something you really like, something you're really passionate about, like, you know, for you a video game, like it hits hard. It just does. And like there's no other way to put out there except for that fact. So I'm glad you got that experience. I'm glad we get to see that representation out there, and I hope it keeps happening. Like I hope it keeps happening. Like a different culture, like you said, first generation folks need that representation out there. So that was Vinba. I can see why you're so passionate about talking about this one. Right on.
Yeah. And so, like you said, it's available on Switch, Steam, PlayStation, Xbox. It's not on PlayStation 4, which I feel like there's not a good reason for that because it's not a technically demanding game.
Right.
And so, especially something like this, I feel like really should be readily available to as many people as possible for as long as possible.
Get that
But
PlayStation. It's talking to you.
yeah,
Get it done.
there's no reason this game shouldn't be available on PlayStation 4. I played way more technically demanding games on PlayStation 4. So it definitely can handle this.
Well, I'm looking on Polygon right now. So it's like they're saying that it is on PlayStation 4.
Okay. I'm on the developer's website and I'm
And
just seeing.
they're not saying anything? Gotcha.
So.
Gotta trust the devs for anything else. I hear ya.
Actually, let me click through to the PlayStation Store page. Yeah, it looks. I'm not logged in, so it's saying it's only available on PS5 on the PlayStation Store, unless it's like a different SKU or something. But usually, when games do both,
hey, like if we're wrong, by all means, let us know. I'll talk about it next episode. I'll talk about it in a heartbeat next episode. So if we're wrong, let us know.
Okay, and so moving on from Venba onto a game that's a lot more big budget and a lot more technically demanding. Fortnite had its Big Bang event, which was the end of Chapter 4. It was kind of a combination of the rocket launch event that they had, I want to say way back in Season 3 or 4 of Chapter 1, and the Travis Scott concert. So they actually had an Eminem concert in Fortnite. And it was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the entire event, it drew a lot of eyes to the game because of how big and because over the years, Epic has bought Harmonix, they bought Psyonix. Harmonix, the developers behind Rock Band and Fuser and Dance Central and just a lot of music games over the years. Not Guitar Hero though. That is the one people. I'll say Rock Band. People it's from the same people as Guitar Hero, but Rock Band was Harmonix and Guitar Hero was Neversoft, but it was always under Activision. They had multiple different developers on it, the same way they do Call of Duty now, or they did Tony Hawk before.
Oh, is that what this is? Is this like a button-activated song game?
Well, that's one of the games. So they announced technically 3 new games coming to Fortnite.
Okay.
So the first one they announced is Lego Fortnite. So it is a Minecraft-like survival game that is Lego branded that is coming to Fortnite, I want to say December 7th. And so that already looks huge because I think they've shown that a bunch of the Fortnite skins have minifigure versions. And so you'll just be able to play as any of the skins you have. Well, not any of the skins because there are probably over 1,000 skins in Fortnite at this point. But that a lot of your skins will translate over 1-to-1 to Lego Fortnite.
They look adorable and ridiculous at the same time.
Yeah, and I mean, it drew a lot of attention because, Lego is one of those brands that, is family friendly, and, you know, Fortnite is getting more and more, kind of mature.
Family oriented.
And
yeah.
So, this is an alternative for, you know, it being catering to an even younger crowd than Fortnite already. That's a younger crowd than is already Fortnite's target demographic.
Okay, because I was about to say, they kind of got that impact. That's what I meant by you know, getting more mature. I feel like they're trying to keep their stuff in the middle, in the 14, 13 age range.
Yeah, but they have the Terminator. What 13, 14-year-old has any affinity for the Terminator or for the Xenomorph from Aliens or Will Smith and Bad Boys. Like there are a lot of choices that are made that are like these aren't for
Agreed.
children.
So like they want to get like the older crowd like attached to this kind of stuff, or at least like find a way to bring them in. But like you're also right, like this Lego one here really changes the game, like getting like a much younger crowd attached to this, and like it's kind of hard for parents to get upset when Lego gave their okay.
Well, yeah, it's a full-on collaboration because Lego's been making Fortnite toys, like
Mm-hmm.
physical toys, out of Legos for a while, and this is the first like win on the Epic side of getting now having an official like it's a Lego video game. Lego video games sell. Like that's
And
kind
the
of one
big
of those like between the Star Wars, Lego Harry Potter, like Lego games over the years have historically sold well.
and the Big Bang event is like that's just like a little Fortnite story that brings all these three different games together, correct?
Right. And so the other game that was announced was well, one of the other games that was announced was Rocket Racing, which is from Psyonix, the developers of Rocket League. It is going to be a racing game built on the Rocket League engine.
It looks nuts. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm watching it in action. It looks like some Mario Kart type situation,
Yeah, it
but
looks really fun and arcadey.
it looks
And
fun.
like Rocket League, I remember when Rocket League came out, it was free on PlayStation Plus, and
Right.
so I got it and I was showing it to some of my friends, and like some of them to this day still play Rocket League. I'll dip in and out, Every once in a while, I'll get the urge to play some soccer, but
Right.
just like the controls and the mechanics of that game are so sound, like of course, like this is a logical next step for Rocket League is have the cars race.
And the really cool part about this is like you get to use those characters, like you use like Invincible, Omni Man, you use like Buffy the Vampire, like whatever character you have, and like your Fortnite stock, you can use these characters like on those entire game. And the real cool part about this is your Fortnite character doesn't sit in the car; they ride on top of the car the entire time.
Well, we're still not sure if that was just for the event or if
Yeah,
that's how it's going to function in the game.
I hope it does because that was really cool.
Well, that would be really interesting because I use Across the Spider Verse Miles Morales as like my primary skin in Fortnite, so just
Oh, that's
having
cool.
him on my car in Rocket Racing would be really cool.
That would be awesome. I was very very Spider Man s like doing the Spider Spans right on top. That's cool. I like that.
But yeah,
This gets me kind of excited. Like I don't know if their focus group like put some stock into this, but this is really exciting stuff right here.
well, yeah, it was kind of like Epic Games pared back on a lot of the other things they were working on when Fortnite started to bloom up, and this is them expanding out from Fortnite because Fortnite's not. No game is like the infinite, everlasting game. And
Right.
so taking some of the resources and some of the developers they bought, and because they bought Mediatonic, they bought Harmonix, they bought Psyonix, like putting those studios' talents to use on like different projects, it's
Hmm.
just like a smart business move in general.
It just is. It just we talked about that on the show before, multiple times too. Just this is why Fortnite is just killing the way they're killing it because they're putting themselves everywhere. Comics, other video games, different types of lore that's out there. Like they're grabbing up. People say that Dragon Ball Z are the characters from Fortnite. So yeah, it just like they are putting themselves. You've seen that floating around
Yeah,
on
I've seen it's like Master Chief, the guy from Fortnite,
yeah, exactly.
Heihachi, the guy from Smash Brothers.
Exactly like that. Yeah. And like it just what are you like we know all know that's not true, but like the fact that like that's the case with Fortnite and Fortnite is putting itself like attached to all these things out there, it's a smart move. It is. It's a smart move.
Right, and because they already have the player base, like giving people like me who are already kind of playing the game more
Hmm.
options, like more things to do than just play a battle royale.
I like it. Like it a lot.
Okay, so the last story that we have for this week's episode is you sent me a story, and I had actually heard it making the rounds in the news. Is that Microsoft wants Game Pass on PlayStation, Nintendo, and every screen possible. And this is something that rumors of it have happened before because
Mm-hmm.
when Minecraft came to Nintendo Switch, there was a big partnership with them doing
Yep.
crossplay, and people were wondering. And Ori, Will of the Wisp, or
I remember that.
Ori and the Blind Forest. I think both of those games are on Nintendo Switch now, and so those are Microsoft first party games. So there's a lot of connection between Nintendo and Xbox, but I don't think it. This is something that certain people in the industry think is inevitable, but I don't see. There are a lot of logistical problems around something like this happening
Keep going. Like
because
in what way?
with Sony being in charge of the PlayStation Store, there are third party games that are on Game Pass. Like, it would be a good deal as far as getting Xbox first party games to come over because Xbox console sales just aren't even competing with the Switch or the PlayStation anymore. Like, because Xbox
Agreed.
has become a lot more of a service based game publisher, like, their focus hasn't been on hardware this generation in a major way at all. Like, the majority of people playing Starfield are playing on PC because why would you play it
It's the
on?
best bang for your buck. Yeah, it's the best bang for your buck. Period.
Yeah. So where a lot of it starts to break down is all of these third party games that are available on Game Pass, like Lies of P, any of the Yakuza games. Those are games that PlayStation is going to want to sell you on their platform. But
Yeah.
then if they allow Xbox to just have an app on the platform that supports Game Pass, it's like, well, why would you lose out on 30% of revenue off a full price game when you, let's say, even microtransactions and anything processed through Game Pass, how would that work with the PlayStation Store? So, just on a logistical angle, I don't see it working.
Yeah.
But one of the interesting things is between Xbox and PC, they have different catalogs on Game Pass. So I could see them curating. So, like, let's say it's only Halo, Forza, and Gears available on it. And a lot of the other, even though Microsoft, like, they've been buying up a lot of third party developers and making them first party studios. So they bought all of Bethesda. They bought, well, ZeniMax and Bethesda, and then they bought Activision Blizzard King earlier this year. And so, how does it work out? I know they've signed deals to support PlayStation and Nintendo with Call of Duty for the next 10 years, but what happens after that?
I feel like for a lot of TV heads that are out there listening to this, it sounds a lot like what happened with Hulu when Hulu was owned by Fox, NBC, and ABC, and like the end result is that ABC bought out Fox, and like that was that. But like while that was happening, you had companies selling shows like
Wait, I
to
thought
Netflix
Disney
during that
bought
time.
Fox.
That's also ABC. It's the same company in my eyes. But yeah, so like when that company like bought them out, like they also own 2 quarters of the share, and NBC made Peacock instead. But while that was going on, you still had shows from NBC on Hulu. You had shows from NBC also on Netflix, and like you also saw like some of those shows like on other different streaming networks, and like they just sell those shows out different places. But instead of all that, you have like all the stuff on Microsoft Game Pass. And what you're saying is like, why would Xbox let that kind of thing happen when they can just like sell you the game on their console instead of like you getting that from Microsoft? It just seems like a lot of back doors, a lot of hidden way stuff just to get like exclusive games from Microsoft on a PlayStation when like you can just get yourself a PlayStation Xbox instead. Is that what you're trying to say
Well,
to us?
the thing is, Microsoft, it doesn't even seem like Microsoft is trying to push people to get Xboxes. That's
Okay.
one of the reasons they're saying, like, because it's coming to smart TVs where you can just sync a controller and play Xbox Game Pass.
True.
It's on mobile phones right now. I can hook up a backbone and play Game Pass games on my
Yeah.
phone. So,
Funny enough, we were talking about that early, the beginning of this year, like, and now like it is becoming kind of a standard that a lot of folks can just grab their grab their game controller, their backbone, and just start playing games on the go, and that's good enough for them. It seems like.
yeah, and so it since it seems like Microsoft is more focused on services and software, I'm sure they'd be thrilled to be able. Someone like me who pretty much only plays on PlayStation will
Right.
occasionally play on my Switch. Like almost never play games on PC or and even more seldom of the time play games on Xbox. Like I'm sure they'd like to be able to get me subscribing to Game Pass so that they are getting that revenue from someone like me who would want. I'd definitely play Halo on PlayStation without a doubt.
I think it can go the other way around too. Folks like who are exclusively Microsoft Xbox fans, and they love the controller from Xbox. Like they cannot be told otherwise about getting any other console because that controller is like the controller for them when it comes to Xbox. And like putting a PlayStation season pass or Game Pass on there, or putting like a Nintendo Game Pass on those consoles could
Well,
also be the future. Which is I kind of think what the article we saw was all about. Like, are we going to see these from different platformers going on other platformers with their Game Passes? I feel like if Microsoft does this, it's only a matter of time before Nintendo and PlayStation does the same thing.
I don't think so. Like Microsoft has the money to burn. Like there's a reason that Nintendo still makes bespoke hardware and makes some of the biggest games of the year as AAA first party exclusive games that you can only
Right?
play on their system. I'm sure. And the same with Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man is a Marvel property. Think about just how many more copies it would sell if they were able to sell that on the Switch. But the reason that they won't do it is because, unlike Xbox, their focus still is on selling you hardware. They still want people to buy Nintendo Switches, and they still want people to buy PlayStation 5s way more than Microsoft wants people to buy Xbox Series X
I don't
or
know.
even
Like
Xbox Series S.
I hear what you're saying, and like I get it to a point, but I feel like technology is constantly changing, like the way it is. Like you said, like if you were playing these games like on their smart TVs and just like looking up a controller and that be that. We remember how proprietary Apple was until they weren't, and like they had to change their ways. And then we see Netflix having their shows exclusively on Netflix, so like they lease them out to TV channels and things like that. I feel like if two companies who are arguably like the heavy hitters in like their realm, talking about PlayStation and Nintendo, see Microsoft making a lot more money from this Game Pass
But
than other stuff like that. I feel like it's only a matter of time before PlayStation says like we got to put some resources into doing this. And same with Nintendo, we got to put some resources, maybe old games, maybe games that people really like, but like not as detrimental to our budget that people can still buy our consoles. I feel like it's only a matter of time before that happens because if it was me and I want like to play a Nintendo game on my PlayStation, I wouldn't. If I can just play it on my PlayStation and not buy a Switch, because I wasn't gonna get one any damn way, I might as well just play it on my PlayStation. At least I got Nintendo in front of me. You know what I mean? I feel like it's only a matter of time until that happens. I can't see it business wise. I can't see it any which way around that. Besides that,
then that's cutting off your audience
yeah,
that Nintendo Switch wouldn't be one of the best selling consoles of all time with
things do change. Things do change.
I mean
Sometimes crowns gotta fall.
we'll see. I don't think we'll ever see Mario on PlayStation. Like
Wouldn't that be a sight? We said the same thing about Sonic. Never be on Nintendo. A couple years later, there he was.
right, and Crash
We'll see.
Bandicoot and Final
I mean,
Fantasy.
things change, man. Things change.
Yeah, but we still don't have, you know, Gran Turismo anywhere else. We still don't have God of War anywhere else. We still don't have The Last of Us anywhere else. We still don't have. They're just
Let, let's
all
let's flip that around. We haven't seen Halo really anywhere else. You know, we haven't really seen Gears of War anywhere else. Like
PC.
we're talking about that possibly happening. Like we're talking about like that possibly being a reality. Like those games that we wouldn't see anywhere like exclusively a part like of Microsoft and Microsoft brand. Like we're about to see them other places, like on different consoles. Like
Well, I
it's about
mean,
to happen.
Bioshock, Mass Effect, a lot of those were Xbox exclusives at launch that eventually came other places. And so,
See something like Microsoft is different than PlayStation and Nintendo. Like they got like a whole different vibe and feel to them, like video game culturally, as
well, yeah,
opposed
their
to
focus, like, PlayStation is the biggest division of Sony. PlayStation makes the most money for Sony out of any of the other things that it does. It does high-end
correct
headphones. It does like Sony does a lot of
electronics.
right,
Does cameras, yeah. Does film as well. It does a lot of stuff, yeah.
right. But PlayStation is their biggest division. Why would they? Where Xbox is nowhere near the biggest division of Microsoft in any way, shape, or form. They make Windows.
God, tell us how you really feel, Anton.
I mean,
But
it's
yeah,
just
I
like
hear
if
you.
you
I
see
hear
the
what you're saying.
companies they come from and like the level of importance, like
It ain't there, but like they did just buy a very big gaming company,
I
and
mean, they bought
it,
a very big gaming company last year with ZeniMax, and so
oh, keep going, please. Who's Venomax?
I don't think that any of these things have made Xbox has not been the best-selling console of any month since before the PlayStation 5
360.
launched.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
I mean, there were
So
a
yeah,
couple months in the PS4, Xbox One generation where like
yeah,
Xbox went on like really
was kind
deep
of going on that thing.
sale or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, where like it kind of peaked its head and was the top selling. But right
Well, was that
now,
was that because Xbox was great? Was that 'cause, like all the hacks that Sony had? Like it was a whole thing to be talked about then. So I get you,
well,
I
no,
do.
this is after the hacks.
People, it was still in the whispers in people's ears, but yeah, but I get you, I get you, I get you. Whew. We can go on like this all day. I did see a commercial since like we're doing all the stories. I did see a commercial where they were talking about like Meta is trying to get themselves into the video game world, the VR, AR video game world. Have you heard anything about this?
Well, yeah, the Oculus was the first big VR platform, and of course, one of the first things people did. So, like, they're one of the pillars of VR gaming.
Yeah,
It's like
they are.
PlayStation VR, Meta
The Meta
Quest.
Quest is what they're calling it. Yeah,
Well,
and like I got the top games right here. Is Agar's Wrath 2, Ghostbusters, Rise of the Ghost Lord, Lego, Bricktales VR, Stranger Things VR, and more upcoming MRs and games, MR apps and games. What the hell's MR stand for? What's MR stand for?
mixed reality.
Good God! All right, so
That's really just augmented reality.
essentially, but still, like, have you seen the the way these things look in action?
Yeah, I mean,
It's pretty
I
impressive. They look pretty impressive.
yeah, it's really impressive. I feel like it took a little bit too long for the MetaQuest 3 to come along because they have had completely wireless solutions since the original MetaQuest, and I just feel like the MetaQuest 2 became kind of long in the tooth. But if I were to get a VR headset for gaming right now, it would be a PlayStation VR 2.
It would be a what? Say it again.
A PlayStation VR 2?
Okay. I've heard talks about that from kind of funny, but I haven't heard anything like like worth doing this kind of mentality. All right.
Well, I mean, a lot of the games come to both MetaQuest and PlayStation VR, but then there are the things
Correct.
that I already have games on my PlayStation that support the VR. So all I would need to do is just boot those games up with the headset, and I already have a library of games ready to go without going out of my way and buying VR games, which if I were to go the meta route, I would have to go
You
out of
would
my
have to
way,
do
buy
just that.
all new games.
Mm-hmm. That makes
Whereas
sense.
I bought Gran Turismo 7 because I enjoy Gran Turismo in general, but it's also nominated for VR Game of the Year. And so all I would need to do to play one of the best VR games released this year is get a PlayStation VR 2. And it was a free update, so it's not anything additional that I would have to spend to do that.
I'm watching a few trailers. I'm watching the Cubism trailer. It's like it'd be a fun game to play while you're just laying down trying to go to sleep. But I feel like you need a lot of lighting because it's hand tracing. But it looks pretty cool. It's like a 3D Tetris, but in a box. So you gotta put it together yourself. So it's like playing with blocks when you were a baby. But it's VR. I know. I'm not really selling this pretty well, am I?
Well, I know there were a lot of like spatial, like honestly, the best VR game that I've ever played is Tetris Effect Connected. Well, it was
Okay.
just Tetris Effect. It didn't have the connected update yet when I played it in VR. But
This looks pretty cool. Uh, Damio. It's like a table board s type game.
oh,
Or
yeah, I know what game you're talking about.
DMEO.
Demio,
It's a
yeah.
mixed reality. Is what they call it. Yeah, it's one of those MR games. It was pretty interesting. I wouldn't mind see that with different card games that I'm probably familiar with, or put the damn Marvel Snap game in an interface like that. Make those characters actually fight with each other. That sounds epic. That sounds like some Black Mirror stuff right there. I've been watching Black Mirror again.
What we need is a Yu-Gi-Oh VR game,
Ooh, after watching it with you and Raddick that one time, oh, definitely yes. That sounds awesome.
right? Having a dual
Yeah, yeah.
disc like actually on your arm and be able to play actual cards and have.
Oh, oh my God, you're selling me.
That's what we need.
That's what we need. I don't disagree with that one bit. Wow, that sounds really cool.
All right. Well, did you have
Uh,
anything else you wanted to touch on before we wrap for the week, D?
Absolutely. I got some of the games to pick up this week. I got Gothic 2 Classic Complete. Came out November 29th. It's on the Nintendo Switch. Don't have a synopsis in front of me. Metacritic is doing some stuff that they don't want me to see, and I'm gonna take it personally until I don't. So, oh, I found a summary. Here it is. I had to keep on scrolling. I apologize. Continue the story of the nameless hero in Gothic 2 Complete Classic, the award-winning sequel that improved on its predecessor in every way. I'm not going to read any further, but that is the game right there. The second one is Last Train Home. This is on the PC. Also came on November 28th. I'm not going to read a synopsis for that. We also got Super Mario RPG, of course, on the Switch. Came out November 17th.
It's a
What do you got?
remake of the Square Enix developed Super Nintendo game before there was a huge fallout over Final Fantasy VII it coming exclusively to PlayStation.
Is that what this is?
Yes, this is a remake of that Super Nintendo game.
Because the developer of this one is Art Piazza. That's the developer for this one here. So yeah,
And
they kept by as a
they handled the port slash upresing of it, but it
okay.
was originally developed by Square Enix. I think it
Nice.
was just SquareSoft back then.
Didn't know. Oh, see, he used the words. Every time he said those words again. But there it is. He said the words. And next up, we got Warhammer Age of Sigmar Realms of Ruin. This is also on the PC. Came out November 17th. It is from Frontier Developers. It is a real time strategy. And lastly, this one just caught my eye. I feel like this would be something that you'd play, actually. Called Laudernaut. It's a PC game. Came out November 16th. It is a third-person adventure developed by Moon Lagoon. The synopsis reads, play as an interstellar custodian sent to clean up a polluted ocean planet, pick up trash to support vibrant waters, and take care of, what's that, Zoxial-like alien creatures? All right. There you go. So that's the games to check out for next week. Pick them up, don't pick them up. If you got a PC, they're sitting there for you.
Well, I'll give you one of the games to check out for December. Avatar
Okay,
Frontiers of Pandora is one of
I've heard of
the
that.
last big games to come out for the year. So if you got a console for Black Friday or getting one for Christmas, maybe check that out.
Look at Anton upselling. All right. Hey, Black Friday, it's a thing. Every Frontier, PC, and the developer is, can I get it in time? Massive Entertainment. Publisher is Ubisoft.
Yes.
Of course, it's Ubisoft.
Massive
Why
is
wouldn't
the team that you probably know from the Division games.
Okay, yeah.
So,
I always want to play those games. I feel like I would get lost in that damn game, dude.
yeah, the
That's why
Division
that's why I
2
have
is
kids.
still really exciting. And then a sneak peek for January, just since you had me get into Metacritic, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is coming
I see
January
that.
19th to PS5. So if you
Yeah,
enjoyed the show, this is going to be, you'll be able to play what they're going to adapt into season 2, which is going to
yeah.
start filming in January as well. So
They keep talking about that. They keep talking about how they're just going to line up perfectly well. And I really, and I give, as I said before in the last episode with the FTL podcast with Justin, um, if you watch The Boys has like veered off completely from what they did in the comic books. And I feel like when we get season 2 of Last of Us, that's going to be all we get, like story base wise, some of these characters. They're just going to be like going all legs running from there on, much how they did for Game of Thrones. But like I'm ready for season 2. You've already played the game. You know like what's going to happen inside this game. But like after that, do you think like the story, the showrunner can really keep the story going
well,
after the game is done?
I think by that point we may have a Last of Us Part 3
Okay, all right,
because
all right,
after The Last of Us, the original game, there wasn't a need for a Part 2. But after
okay.
Part 2, there is definitely a need for a Part 3.
Part 3. Gotcha.
So
I love it. That happen.
and considering that Neil Druckmann, the one responsible for the games, is working on the show, he already
Right.
knows. Like, I'm sure he's been working because The Last of Us Part 2 came out in 2020. So there's been 3 years since then of planning work going into The Last of Us Part 3. So,
And we should compare him to George R. R. Martin. So I hear you. I got you.
well, see, unlike George R. R. Martin, like they were trying to adapt something that wasn't done.
Right.
I think by the time they're going to, because honestly, the second game could be 2 seasons because it's
Oh
much
wow.
longer than the first game.
Okay.
And I don't want to spoil anything for the show, but you'll see that there's a reason why you could really split the story of the game into 2 separate seasons and it would make sense.
Well, I'm sure a lot of us can be right playing or replaying this game before that second season of Last of Us comes out. Pedro Pascal is a busy dude right now as well. Like in the next thing, like him possibly being Mr. Gonna happen apparently. He's gonna be Mr. Reed Fantastic. Like inside the new Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how that's gonna play out. But Last of Us, Tekken comes out next year. The Persona, the Prince of Persia comes out next year. Persona
Final Fantasy
3.
7 Rebirth. Yeah, Persona 3 Reload is the next one that's really big for me.
There's not a lot of things that get me really like happy in the world, but when I hear you talk about Final Fantasy, like I know it's a good time. Like and Anton's in this feels right now when Final Fantasy comes out of your mouth. And the game I'm really looking forward to what happened with this game. Not so much to play it, but to see how people react. The Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League game. I can't wait to see this game comes out and how people react to it. It's gonna be a party.
I don't
Day one.
I don't think it's gonna be like complete garbage
Okay.
anymore. But I still know that it's still gonna be a live service and not what people want out of that
No.
team.
And like
So
I
it's
hope it's
not
not like
going to do
as
well.
somber as
Like
that.
I can tell you that much that it's not going to do well, especially like games of that tier even this year. Like
Yeah.
we talked about Immortals of Avium on Cheesy Controller podcast yesterday. That it's like that was everything the gaming industry was asking for. It was like, it's a new IP from, like, supported by a big publisher. It's a shorter game. It's like all these things that people are asking for, and it's sold so terribly that the studio got shut down. So
yeah, like no one bet nobody.
Right. Like I hope
like
that doesn't happen to Rocksteady, but I mean, with just the way the industry's been going in gaming lately,
it's fickle at times. Yeah, like we've been getting good games, but these companies been struggling. Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Well, I think that's about it for this week. Remember, you can follow me around the internet, cheesycontrollerpodcast.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Anton6 and 2 X's. All right, D, where can people find you in FTO Nerd Talk?
You can find me. Well, you can find me mostly on FTO Nerd Talk because you found my personal page. Congratulations, you found it. But you can find me on Instagram. That's FTO Nerd Talks with an S at the end of it. Someone took it before me. I don't know who that person was. I tried to like stop him for years, and I can't figure out who that ne'er-do-well is. And you can also find me on X or TikTok and even YouTube. But here's the real kick. FTO Awards is happening right now, and there's a lot of people a part of this, a lot of names, from cosplayers to just individuals who create content online. I hope you guys check them out. If you check out the link tree on any one of those pages I suggested to you, you will find a way to vote, and here's the real kick. You can vote as many times as you like. You got not 1, 2, 3, maybe 15 times, because, like, you know what? There are some people who are winning this right now that I'm very surprised about who is winning this contest, but, you know, hey, that's the whole point of competition, and I love a good, healthy competition because I like to win. So maybe one year you see my name on there, but I'd be biased and people yell at me. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And Anton, this was fun, man. I'm glad we did this.
All right. So until next time, keep it cheesy.
And take it easy. Hey guys, D here of FTO Nerd Talk. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, tell your friends about FTO Nerd Talk. Got a lot of different shows for all of you. Make sure you tune in every week for a brand new episode. Take it easy.